So I just got a text message. I'm hoping it doesn't happen, and I don't think it will now. Rogue is going to be delivering some stuff.
Oh, cool.
Today that I was not expecting. I'd ordered some equipment over the weekend. I figured it would take a couple weeks.
Nice. It's like next day.
Well, it's a couple days. I think I just ordered it. It's either Saturday night or Sunday morning.
They're in Ohio, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's not that it's far, but how often do you get?
Oh yeah.
And it's probably several hundred pounds of stuff. Gym equipment is not
quick turnaround.
It's not light.
Did the UPS guy hate you?
I don't
know.
I haven't ordered. Well, yeah, we ordered the bikes. I don't know. We haven't ordered anything that's like super duper heavy.
They
I feel
assign
like
a specific person for you, like they're like, oh yeah, this is going to the gym here.
Yeah, they need
Get
the guy that
big dude
works
in the
out
back
to
over
deliver
here, yeah.
stuff here. Yeah.
Super duper heavy to you is different to everyone, though. You know what I mean? The normal person,
Yeah.
is like a gallon of milk, and they're like, oh, Jesus.
I think about that stuff sometimes. I know this is like a dumb comparison, but like when you ever open a jar of something and you're like, well, that was actually kind of hard to open. What do regular people do?
Yeah.
Like I work out all the time. I consider myself at least a little above average for the most part. What would like a 60-year-old lady do to open that pickle jar?
Well, it's Picklegate. Remember? The pickle jar with Hillary Clinton and trying to open it on national television.
I don't remember that. You remember some interesting things.
It was ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't remember that whatsoever.
Picklegate, baby.
I thought
It
that was
reminds probably a different thing.
I thought that was Pizzagate.
That's a different one.
It's all
gates.
Close to that, right? Yeah.
Well, here we are talking about that already. It
Yep.
didn't take long. So I'm taking it we're videoing now.
Yes, we are on.
So-
Is your red light on?
It is on, yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So welcome, Save None podcast. We have another guest with us, which is nice. So it's not just
Just not me and you. Yeah.
well, mostly me just rambling for an hour and a half. So Justin Paulson, welcome to the Save None podcast. How did Ben convince you that this would be a good use of your time?
Oh man, it took a lot of convincing, but no, I'm just kidding. I was really excited to get invited on here, so really glad to be here and talk to you guys. And Ben and I have been buddies for a while, so definitely want to just be on here, help out, and have a good time.
He's actually been texting me about 4 times a day. He's like, "Hey, do you guys need any
Come
guests?
on, man. Yeah.
You guys need any guests?"
Oh, he was
I saw
trying to
you
get
It's actually the opposite way. I'm like, yeah, how do I get on this show? Come on,
we,
guys.
we definitely appreciate it, and so will both of our listeners.
Yeah,
Ben's mom and either my wife or one of my kids, one or the other. How actually do you know Ben? How did you guys come to become friends?
Mutual friends,
Yeah, I think it was
is-
Brandon Bray, the social media guy.
Yeah,
he
he
reached
was-
out to you. Yeah, my old social media guy when I had Anchors, and he wanted to do some collaborations and stuff, and so we started talking that way.
Yeah,
and
I think we started talking. Then we started kind of randomly getting a whole bunch of. We did a lot of pop-ups, So that was when Everwood was still like really just trying to get their our feet on the ground and stuff. So we were doing a lot of stuff locally around here, and every time we would do like a pop-up shop, it would be 20 booths in there, and they were all like gift related and different things. And then there was like me and Ben sitting there, like the stuff that was more towards like men and accessories there. And so we just ended up having booths next to each other all the time too. And then we just kind of
love at first sight.
kept talking. Yeah,
Oh, that's cute.
Is that does that still kind of happen in Knoxville? I'm so out of touch. But
love
like,
at first sight or pop-up sales things?
both? Yeah.
Both.
I think
No, just the whole like make Knox. You remember like back 10 years ago that was
Yeah.
like huge, and I mean I guess maybe it still goes on, but I'm out of touch. But
Yeah, I'm a little out of touch on there too,
you
to
are?
be honest. Like once 2020 and COVID and all that stuff happened, there weren't any more pop-ups at that point, and then I got kind of a different direction with my business and didn't have as much time to really do the pop-up shops anymore. But those were something I really loved. I love being out there and being able
entrepreneurship
to
used
talk.
to be huge in Knoxville. Like I don't really know if it's. I think it's kind of becoming more tech based. More softwares and stuff like that. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't know. I feel like there was a lot of handmade. Maybe there still is.
I think still going downtown, you still see that that like design culture that's down there, and and just the smaller businesses that still take over. So.
Yeah.
I wonder if there'll be a bit of, or if it's already happened. I'm not really in that space, but a revival of that. Like, because you're seeing a lot of that with when everything went virtual because it had to.
Yeah.
And then everyone's like, wow, this is super duper convenient. We're just going to stay at home and do everything. And then after 2 years, everybody was like super depressed and like lacked human contact. And we're like, maybe
Right.
this isn't the best way to do things because it is super convenient and there's benefit. But like, that human interaction, that getting out and like being able to see, especially in that space, like getting to see, touch, like, like
Right.
obviously I buy things for convenience, but I typically only buy things that it's not the first time I'm buying them online if I can avoid it. I know that's not always the case, but like, you don't know. Like we just did this with my son the other day buying sneakers. He had never had like this certain brand, and we're like, dude, we don't know if those are gonna fit you good. We should go try those on. And lo and behold, we went to a store, tried something similar, and we're like, he didn't like them. So then we just bought online what we knew we were gonna like. So
it's like sizes and stuff like that, you know. Like, but shoes are like one of those big things,
right?
So.
And quality of things, and just how do you like it? So
yeah, we'll get into that later. But that's weird you said because I just switched my site from Squarespace to Shopify.
Okay, yeah.
I know I've been Shopify guy, and just
getting you on that for a while. Yeah.
Basically, getting the customer to like look, smell, taste, touch, all with like imagery and words. It's like it's so hard.
It is.
It's so hard.
I mean, that's a whole art in itself.
But like you're saying, you have to experience it without experiencing it.
Especially depending on what it is. Like if you're buying, shampoo, which ironic I chose that. But you're like, okay, well, it's whatever. If you're into like, the cleaner components and ingredients and stuff, you're like, well, this doesn't have anything that I can't pronounce. Like, I'll just buy that and wing it. And if you don't like it, so what? It was $8, you'll get rid of it. But if it's something, like a watch, something that like has a more of a statement or there's a quality component to it, like, I don't want to spend, whatever, more than $20 on something online that I have no idea if I'm going to like it.
Exactly.
So, kind of the point, you guys have both touched on it, and not in because I guess I'd put myself in this category. You are a serial entrepreneur is how I would kind of describe your professional background. And so there's a few different things along the way. And obviously we want to go back to like childhood at some point and kind of talk about what that was like and how you got to that position of wanting to do this stuff. But like, give us just a little background into like the entrepreneurial side. Like from what I understand, you started a skate shop. Is that...
Yeah. So originally, right when I got out of high school, I went to college for about a year, a couple semesters, whatever, and kind of got to a point where I was like, man, what am I doing this for, right? And I was like, I really just wanted to open up my own shop. I wanted to work for myself. I wanted to do something that really builds a culture around what you're doing. So I grew up skating my entire life, skateboarding, inline skating, everything. And I worked for a skate shop for a long time, and the owner ended up leaving, and it gave me like a really great opportunity to kind of take over that space and open up my own. So opened up a skate shop, which ironically was called just The Skate Shop. Took a long time to come up with the name.
Sleepless nights and lots of notebook paper.
Forever, yeah. It was like notes and yeah. But I had that down in South Florida. So I had that for 5 years or so, and then that was when like 2008, 2009, that whole economy kind of crashed and took me out on really what I was doing. But I accomplished a lot with that company, and I was one of the first online companies for a skate shop. So it was, went right with the name. It was just called The Skate Shop Online, and started doing customized skateboards, started doing inline skates and all that stuff online, and I was one of the first few around there. But invested pretty heavy into that and really trying to like grow everything there, and that's when that economy dip kind of hit, and I just couldn't really phase out of that one. I did a calendar stand after that, so I had my uncle, he was kind of hooked up with it, and so it was like a little franchise deal. Did that, and that was really cool. It was fun.
Is that like in the mall?
Yeah, it was in the mall down in South Florida called Broward Mall, and I literally sat next to the food court from the opening to the close of the mall, and I seriously was like writing scripts down. I was like, man, this could be a movie or a TV show of like just the crazy stuff that goes on in the mall, and starts with the mall walkers in the morning and going through and doing their thing. But yeah, so I was there. I think it was just seasonal, obviously, because who buys a calendar in the middle of the July?
That was what I was going to ask. Is like, how does that work once you get to like June?
Yeah,
like, are people now beyond the point of really concerning
they're
themselves?
They're like, man, should I buy the next year or should I buy the current year? Yeah.
So, is that why they started making the 18-month ones so you could?
Yeah, right. Going into weekly calendars. So, but no, yeah, you start opening that around October, and then it closes usually sometime in January when everything starts going to 50, 75% off, and you're just kind of getting rid of all the rest of the stuff for the year. So so I did that. I did, a company called Mouse Theory. So that one was actually kind of what evolved into to Everwood, and what kind of created Everwood almost at that point. So Mouse Theory was almost like it was kind of like the next addition to what the skate shop was, except it was just more brands and companies that I really wanted to sell. So I didn't really have like a full direction on exactly what was on there. But I started picking up a couple watches. So there was Wewood and Tense and a couple of these brands that were they were like wood-based watches. And it started, eventually going through my mind of like, man, I could just make these instead of selling another brand. And I could have my own line kind of involved with everything in there. And so started really doing the research, started sourcing out some products and kind of figuring out how I could do that. And then turned into Everwood. So started creating my own watches there. Started Everwood with a Kickstarter. So back when Kickstarter like first launched, I was like, man, people just give you money to get your company going. I was like, this is awesome, right?
This is great.
But just Kickstarter alone was one of those things that was like such a huge project to do, and it was super fun. So raised, I think it was like almost 20 grand off my first Kickstarter.
That's awesome.
And that's how I, got the investment basically for my first line of watches. Yeah. So my first watch that was released was called the Kyle Moore, and that was an all wood watch. And then I did a second Kickstarter for a watch called the Inverness, which was the next collection. And that one is a wood and stainless steel kind of mixed watch. Yeah. So
you didn't take the 20 grand and went and bought a car? I mean, most people do.
It was tempting, I know.
Yeah.
Back there, cars weren't as expensive as they are now either. So
That's a cool. You kind of received some accolades along the way for that as well. I think it was kind of tied to the skate shop. You'd won some stuff down in Florida. What was?
Yeah, so we there are a couple of newspapers down there, and they do different ratings throughout the year. And there was, I think Sun Sentinel was one of them. There was Miami Herald. There was a couple down there. I got recognized in a couple different ones for just how young I was, and it was like a bright future or like entrepreneurs of the future type thing. So at the time, I was in my, early 20s. I was like 19 or 20 years old, running a whole skate shop down there, and had a pretty big following of everything going on there. So I got recognized around there as one of like the future entrepreneurs for that area and everything. So yeah, it was pretty cool to go through some of the interview process there, and just
to feel kind of surreal. Like
I'm
just a kid, and I'm being
back
acknowledged.
then, it was like everything was going so fast, like you launched, got the retail space that was there, got everything launched. I had like a pro skate team that was connected to it. I had, a whole culture of skateboarders around the area. It was every day, like you got to the shop and there was people just waiting if they were buying something or if they were just hanging out for a while, and they were just, it was just a fun atmosphere to be around. So a lot of it, like I look back at it, I'm like, man, that was just like a really fun time of my life, a really cool period of my life.
Yeah.
that we
Skate
went through,
shops are more like communities.
They really are. Yeah, it's like a coffee shop for
exactly.
the skaters.
Backing up, I guess a little bit further than that. So I see kind of in your bio, you mentioned from Massachusetts. So were you born? Where were you born and raised?
So born in Massachusetts, so
Okay.
Westford, which is a little bit outside of Boston area. So all my main roots there. Patriots fan and Red Sox fan.
He's from Massachusetts too.
Okay, cool.
So I was born and raised in Gardner. I don't know if you've even ever heard of that town, small town. And my wife is from Leominster,
Okay,
Mass, and we moved here in 2018. So that definitely caught my eye when I saw that you were from Massachusetts. So how long did you live up there?
So we moved to South Florida actually when I think I was around 8, 9-ish, somewhere around there.
Was there a particular reason your family moved down to Florida?
My dad ended up getting a new job down there, so took on a new position down there, and we went obviously with him. So I was 9 years old. I wasn't going to stay in Boston myself. Even though I think I petitioned it back then. My parents tell me a story of me like laying in front of like the moving truck, like I don't want to go. I want to stay here. That's where my friends were and everything. So, but yeah, ended up going to South Florida. I love it. It's really cool. It's definitely, you always look back and you're like, man, if I stayed in Massachusetts that whole time, would I be a different person now? And it's like one of those kind of thoughts there. But, so South Florida really is where I feel like I I grew. That's
Yeah.
where I grew up, kind of, even though I like to have my roots still from Massachusetts. And then, back in 2016, we moved up here to Knoxville. So been here for almost 10 years now. So.
Yeah. Was there any kind of inclination when you were a kid, when you were that little kid laying in front of the truck, that like you wanted to be an entrepreneur, or was there something about your personality? Were you always like possess like a salesmanship or a charisma, it's hard to put a pinpoint. Like when you're 8, you're not like, well, I want to be an entrepreneur. Like
a lot of kids were out mowing lawns for money or had like lemonade businesses, and now they're entrepreneur. I mean,
what was your youth like that maybe?
So I think young-ish, not maybe 8 in front of the moving truck trying to stop it. Maybe I could have got a petition with friends and maybe made a bigger, stand there for a business. But when I was in South Florida, there was the skate shop that I ended up taking over, or taking the space of, was called Super Skates, and it was owned by a guy named Pete Reisfeld, and he was kind of one of my mentors starting out. So I was like 12, 13, maybe a little bit younger, when I really got heavy into skating, and that was like the cool place, right? I was like that skater kid that just went there to hang out all the time and, see what was going on. And he created such a cool culture there and cool everything. And I was like, man, this is what I want to do, this is what I want to be a part of and everything. So yeah, I mean, even going back there, my friends and I created like a company that we actually sold in the shop there for a while, like making the, wax for curbs and rails and stuff like that. And he gave us that opportunity to kind of sell it. And I was like, man, that's so cool. Like, I want to give that opportunity to other kids later on. And I want to be that person that kind of helps that, drive that type of success through people. So I think that was my first like real thing. We went through a little bit of a part where we were trying to build ramps, but that didn't go too well. We weren't really great woodworkers back there, and that was like probably a big part of it where we should have kind of focused on, not just the skating part on that. But yeah, that one, yeah, good thing there was no insurance claims or anything back then. That would have been a different one, but.
Yeah, along the way there can definitely be. I mean, I've experienced that a bit myself, running, a brick and mortar business.
Yeah.
And you're like, you have these things they seem like good ideas. You're like, this is the next iteration or the next step, and then you kind of start to go down that path, and you're like, this isn't really what I do super well. Like,
right.
This is probably not best use of my time, and then try to refocus on the things that are really, really your passion and really what you're good at. You had mentioned like that concept, or you both did, like the community and the building and that like leadership kind of component to things. Is that something, because this is something I find I struggle with at times. Like, it's like I like the concept of like, I like being a leader, I like being in charge, right? I like getting to make decisions. But then sometimes it's also very draining because you're the one that everything kind of falls on, or people maybe sometimes don't want to make decisions because you're doing it. And then also there's that, like, I say power struggle, but it's an internal one.
Yeah.
Of like, these are the things that I'm good at and what I should focus on, but I need to allow others to do the things that they're good at as well, and trying to find the balance. So how do you, because you've come from the ground up on multiple occasions, like what does that look like for you? And is that an easy transition or process?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think just the leadership in general, right? Like, I think a lot of leadership has to do with how do you let somebody else grow? Like, you can't be in charge of everything all the time, right? So I think whenever I do work with people or have people that are working for me, I think a lot of it is giving them that like type of ownership for themselves to grow too. So, so on the leadership side, I think that I feel like that's just very natural to me. Like, I'm not like a really directive person. Like, okay, you do this now and get that done now. It's like, hey, how can we do this together? How can we collaborate on this? Whether you're, starting your first job or going into, a seasoned professional on that, I think it's a lot about like that collaboration and that partnership there.
Right.
One of the things that I've recently, in the past maybe year or so, that I've really figured out about myself too, is like the product development side and the building side is my favorite part of a company, of running a company and having that creative kind of outlet that's there. I think that's been one of the most powerful pieces of different companies that I've built here and different things that I've kind of developed across the way, because I get so into it. You know, I start going through the logos and the branding and the merchandising, and, you know, well, what if someone's walking past it? How are they going to see it? And what's it going to like drive through their mind? And, you know, everything that I've ever done for any of my businesses, and maybe the calendar one's a little bit offset on this one, but is what is the experience that someone's going to go through, you know? So even on Everwood right now, like if you order something online, most of the time you order something, like we were just talking about before too, you order something online and you're like, cool, it's going to come in, and, you know, it's probably in this like package that's, you know, I always think of like Ace Ventura with them kicking the box and everything, you know, like delivering it. And
I worked at UPS for a while.
Yeah.
That's legit. Like, it was a long time ago, but like if people only knew how their items were getting shipped, you would not be happy.
So, but even from like the brand side of it, or whoever the company is that's sending stuff, I don't think a lot of people put a lot of thought into how is a customer going to open this package up, and how are they going to experience this. And I think that, I mean, even what we were talking about before, like Shopify and using your online presence, how do you make that an experience for somebody? And that's where, you know, when you open up something that you order from Everwood, it's opening up an experience for you. It's not just opening and going, cool, I got my bracelet, or I got my watch, or whatever it is that you're, you know, ordering. It's the experience of actually like opening that up and seeing like a handwritten note, right? And seeing, you know, how something's packaged and what falls out of it. What's the surprise and delight moment that's in there? And like, what do you get out of that? What do you feel out of it? Not just what are you buying? Right. So
it's like when cereal used to have mystery prizes in it.
Yeah, right.
That's kind of what I related to when I had anchors. You know, like, what are they gonna? You open that box, they've been waiting for it. Mm-hmm. You know, what are they gonna find, and how special is it gonna be? You know.
So is there a bit of a balance there, and do you struggle with it at all? So like what I'm thinking is, like, you know, you have a good portion of your customer base that like that's going to be really impactful and meaningful, and you're like, I love that. Like, I've received things like, you know, something simple like, you know, I'm sitting here drinking a Fit Aid. When they come out with new products, I feel like they do a really good job when they send it to their wholesalers. Like, it's in this, like, they're usually black boxes, but there's like, you know, paper mache. Like, they try to make a bigger deal about what's there, and I notice it. Mm-hmm. And to a degree appreciate it. So, but is there a balance between, you're like, well, I really want this to be an experience, but where's the line of like, you're creating an excessive experience where like you want that person to be like, oh my gosh, this is shipped so amazing. And then the other whatever percent are like, oh, look, a box. Yeah. And they, you know, so do you focus, does that even come across your mind? Or you're just like, I'm going to do this the way I want to do it. And the people that it's lost on, but I want it to be so impactful to those that it's not. Yeah, no,
I think you hit it on the head there. I think there's, you know, I'm going to do it the way I feel like is the best experience for a customer to experience it, right? So if it is just the person that's like, nope, just got my stuff, here, toss all that out. Like, why are they putting all this stuff in here? You know, like, that's cool, you know, like, but maybe you get that one person that's traditionally how they think of stuff, and then they receive it and they go, whoa, they took some time on this. This is cool. You know, like, this is a cool thing to unwrap. So
that person isn't going to tell 10 friends, you know, you know, they're excited about it.
Yeah. And that's
that firsthand.
There was like a comment that I read way, way back when I was younger, and it was like something about, you know, you make one bad experience for somebody, they're going to tell 100 people.
For sure.
You make one great experience, and they're going to tell like 3, right? Like, so you have to work so much harder to create that good experience. It's very easy to create a crappy experience for someone, you know, and get that spread around and have that out there. But to take the time to create that good experience, it may not impact as many people altogether as what a bad experience is going to go through, but it's going to impact those people differently, you know? So
no, I totally understand. Like, we compare the same thing with like reviews and stuff. Like, we have, you know, say a couple hundred members here. They're great. They show up all the time. You know, we assume they love us because they keep showing up, right? But then like one person has like a bad thing, and like it's very quick to like, that's a Google review, that's a conversation they want to, like, you know, it's just like, it's something to be mindful of. Like, I experience this with my children of like, you know, all the little good things that they do. I only notice when my son doesn't put his stuff where it belongs. I don't always acknowledge the days like, hey, good job, dude. You put your school stuff away and your shoes are not in the middle of the living room floor. But like the day that one shoe's in the middle of the floor and one's on the counter, I'm like, what are we doing here? Did your brain stop today, dude? And so like, it's so true how people are very willing to acknowledge the negative side or the, less than ideal, and you do have to work like harder.
Yeah.
Which I guess in a service-based or product, like the kind of expectation is you're going to do, a decent job. But I think that's cool how you answered that, though, that like, no, these are my values, and we're going to stick to these, and whatever that is, it is. But it's important to us to continue to have that same kind of quality,
right?
In what we
and
do.
I think there's a balance, right? Like you have a $30 bracelet, you're not going to spend $30 worth of packaging and material to ship that, like, so there's definitely a balance on it. So there's definitely things in my head that I'm like, oh man, this would be cool. Like you open the package and a pop it and the, firework thing comes out and, stuff. Yeah. Like that's obviously not going to fit into it, but a cool concept, right?
For
like
sure.
that would be like a $200 bracelet, but for the experience. So.
There was a tattoo machine company that would always send my friend tattoo machine, and they would always come in Chinese boxes, like takeout boxes.
Yeah.
It was just so cool. I mean, this probably cost 10 cents back then.
Yeah.
It's just such a unique experience.
No, I mean, I think that it's funny you say that too, because I think that goes back all the way to like when I was a kid, of some of those things that impacted, like the coolest things I used to buy, like Senate, right, was this
Sennett's a good
wheel
skater.
company. And I mean, did everything. They branded so well back then. But you would get they did like a Crayola one, right, where you got like the wheels and they were in like this Crayola package and the wheels were different colors. And they did like so many cool concepts. And like, I feel like that whole like inline and skateboarding branding back in like the 90s was like some of the best branding and merchandising stuff that ever came out, and they took the time, because it wasn't a corporation that was doing that. It was kids that were like literally skating, that were like, back then I thought they were like all these professional, but they're, teenage kids and 20-year-old kids that were making all that stuff at the time. And they were doing some cool stuff, and I think that's always kind of stayed so impactful to me, is like, it's how you get it, not just what you're getting out of it. So.
Well, they're potentially looking at it through the lens of like, how would you like to receive this thing? Like, they're not just, they're still so connected to it that they're like, this would be super cool if I got it this way.
Right.
There's also no social media and internet, and like the only way that you're going to have that kind of impact is like, well, I'm going to deliver it in this super cool way, and I'm going to hope that kid then tells the 3 friends,
right? Because
now they do the same, and that's how you can spread word of mouth and kind of more organically. So it's kind of it's a great approach. Like
really
you have
is,
you have to do something to separate yourself, because there's a
Yeah.
lot of options for virtually everything. So there needs to be some
especially
way.
nowadays too. It's like social media. Yeah, that one's.
Yeah.
You have some like what I would consider more like corporate, work history as well. So kind of just reading through the bio, Super Skates, Zoomies, Apple.
Yep.
Obviously that kind of sticks out as well.
That's a pretty big one there, right?
What are those? So what was Super Skates? Was that
So Super Skates was the original
okay
brand or company that I worked for when I was like, I think I started working at like 14 or 15. I was literally getting dropped off at work by my mom, because I couldn't drive a car at that time.
you didn't skate to work?
Too far, yeah. But every now and then I'll try. So, Super Skates first job out of high school. Actually, when I was in high school, my senior year of high school, I had, it's called OJT at the time, I think. So where you only go to school for half the day, and then the other half of the day you actually get to go to work and everything. Right. So I was actually one of the managers for one of the Super Skates locations back then. I was 17 years old, leaving work or leaving school at 10 o'clock to go open a store up and work for the day and, run this store that they had at the time, and then literally go home, go to sleep, and do it again, So I think it was always like that kind of, I loved working. Like it was a strange thing, because it was like I had such a hustle mentality. I liked having fun and skating and doing everything too, but it was like when I got there, it was like I had that ownership feel of, dude, I get to create all these cool experiences for people today. I get to be here and help continue to build that company and everything too. So,
was that instilled in any way, like from your parents? I know you talked about having that mentor at the skate shop, and he kind of poured into you quite a bit. But like, I mean, that's a lot. I mean, I have teenagers, not quite 17, but like the ownership of that and that self-driven mentality. Like, where do you think that comes from? Because it's not super common. I mean,
No,
even in
it's
adults,
not, yeah.
like in their 40s, they're not that driven to.
They're like, can I just sit on the couch? Yeah. No, I mean, I think my parents are huge, inspiration around just how I grew up, how I am. My dad was in human resources, so I didn't really follow that path anywhere. But he did a lot of work for the companies that he worked for there too, and building just the employee structure for companies and everything. So I think that I guess there probably is a little bit there, especially on the leadership side. So my mom, she ran like her own like small dance company for a long time, like the actual like where I guess the pro shop of like a dance studio, and then she helped with a lawn service for a while. I think she probably has a lot of that like entrepreneurial.
So it comes from mom to a degree that was the influence
there, so.
Or the visual of like what that is.
Yeah, so it's a good balance kind of in between the two of keeping it very professional, but doing it on your own too at that time.
Well, there was a perfect, like when you think of those two things, like you have your dad's side that it is very structured and like, well, I just get up every day and I go to work and I do the things I'm supposed to do.
Right.
And then the side from your mom of like, well, there's also other ways to accomplish that, and you can do these things for yourself or do them more in line with the passion that you have. So it's a good blend of like, well, I can pursue something that I have a passion for, but I have to get up every day and put in the hours to make it work. So you put those things together, and like, lo and behold, you have a successful company that you show up and put your butt to work every day. So what is am I saying that right? Zoomies?
Zoomies, yeah. So Zoomies is a skate shop. So after I closed my skate shop, I was trying to figure out what to do next, basically. So I was trying to sell all the rest of my like inventory that I had at the time, and
why did you decide to close?
I just couldn't afford to stay in business at the time. Yeah, so I ended up having to close everything down. And I mean, it's a long story. My landlord ended up suing me and like all this stuff for breach of contracts and trying to leave out of the spot. So it kind of put me upside down basically at that point from trying to get myself back up and running. And I was like, man, where do I go right now? Like I didn't have money to start another company at the time. I couldn't really continue the skate shop at that time. So I was like, man, where do I go? What do I do? And Zoomies was just big. It's a nationwide skate shop. They got a lot of, I think 500 plus skate shops. So I went and interviewed over there, and they were like, yeah, we're full. We don't even have any space or whatever. So it actually took me out of South Florida, and that's how I ended up in Orlando. And when I was up in Orlando, I started working for like an event coordination company up there and everything. And I was like, man, this is cool. Pays well, but not really for me, Yeah. So I ended up finding the Zoomies that was up in Orlando at the time, and I was just like, hey, are you guys hiring up here? Like, you got any space? And they took me in. It was like within the week. They were like, dude, come on in. Like, you have great experience. Yeah. So I ended up working at Zoomies there, and I moved up to being one of the store managers for the store that I started at. That store manager went into being like the district manager and everything. So I ended up being there and got, I think it was rookie of the year, the manager rookie of the year, the first year that I was there, which was pretty cool. It was a real big location too. It was in Orlando in the premium outlets. So you had all the traffic of, the Brazilian tour groups and like just, everything, all the traffic that's around the Disney area is right outside there. So the traffic alone and the sales side of that was awesome. It was a really cool experience. And after being there for, I think 6 years or so, in between all that stuff, I met my wife, and I met her as my girlfriend, but obviously became my wife. And when we were in Orlando, we were like, man, we need to move out of Orlando. Like, we didn't really want to stay there anymore. So we came up, and we actually went to Nashville first, and just to visit. And we were like, man, Nashville's just like kind of like Orlando. So we were like, which way do we go? So we came out east and ended up in Knoxville, and we were like, man, this place is awesome, and just wanted to move here. And we actually, after the first visit, came back for like a week, and we just signed an apartment, and we're like, we're going to figure this out. and we came up here. And at the time, I was like, man, I don't really want to stay with Zoomies for too much longer at this point. I felt like I was kind of growing out of that. I was getting a little bit older than what a lot of like the customers there were, and I was, having my employees try to get the lingo so I could even just talk to people half the time, but I ended up coming up here and I left Zoomies, and then I was working with a couple different brands. I was working with like Nothing Too Fancy, which I think is another spot that we ended up connecting to as well. So I was working over there, and I was working, a couple different. I was at Dick's Sporting Goods for a little bit and stuff, and then my old district manager that I worked with for a long time for Zoomies reached out, and he's like, "Hey, they're looking for somebody up there. Like, would you want to come back to Zoomies?" I was like, wasn't really thinking it, but yeah, let me come on back, So I actually came back, and I worked there for another couple of years until I ended up going over to Apple. Which I still currently work at Apple as well. So I've been there for about 8 years now. And I love it, man. They have one of the best cultures that you can kind of work for, especially in the retail side of stuff. So, but yeah, they're
what does your day look really like, man?
Great.
Working a corporate job
man.
and also running, and then you're a dad too. You're running your business, being a husband.
It's tough some days. I will say, like
some days
I like to wake up early in general. So I'm usually up around 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning. It's when I like to get up because, I like to get my day running. Plus my daughter wakes up at 6 o'clock anyway. So she's going to wake. She's like my natural alarm that comes around in the house. So, but yeah, wake up, get breakfast, get her ready, get things going. If I can, drop her off at school and then go for a run or something like that. Depending on, if I'm working that day or not at Apple, going to work, run a lot of stuff. I mean, I think one of the big things nowadays, technology has come so far that I can do a lot of my company on my 15-minute breaks, on my lunches, and on my phone. I bring my computer to work or something, and I sit on a break table when I'm on break, and I'm, editing different photos or, getting descriptions, getting the website, SEO stuff done. So I think there's a lot of stuff that you can kind of just combine together. So, I started doing last year. I started doing some fulfillment centers, so I don't have to fulfill. I still hand make everything, but I don't fulfill everything from my house anymore. So I actually send some stuff out and have companies that are shipping some of the stuff there because the orders got a little bit too heavy. So I'd be up till 3 o'clock in the morning trying to pack orders up and trying to get things done. And so I started kind of outsourcing a little bit of that. So, but there's still a lot of the creation stuff. So, a lot of the bracelet designs and different things come together just by trying it out, putting it together and going, hey, does this work? Yeah, this looks good together, or man, what was I thinking? Why would I even put that, colorway together or something? Right. So, but yeah, it's, a lot of work. Yeah, it just kind of stays, but I like it. I like, continuing to move. So it's nice to sit down and watch a TV show here and there, but most of the time I like to just keep moving on stuff. So
it's funny you mentioned that. I had that conversation. So the young lady that was in here weightlifting, but when we were getting started, she could kind of sense an energy about me, and she's like, "What's the matter?" I'm like, "I just have more things to do than I have time this week."
Yeah.
And I just it feels really busy. And she's like, "Well, isn't that how you want it? You don't do well sitting still?" And I'm like, it's funny because I don't. I don't sit still well. I'm not great at being idle. Until later in the day. My wife and I have created this routine. We'll sit down by 9:30. We'll watch TV together for a little bit. And I can, but if it was, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I can't sit for more than 15 minutes.
Yeah.
But I'll complain about not having time to just sit for 15 minutes. So it's I want the time to be idle, but then if the time is available, I'm going to go hang from the pull-up bar.
Right.
Or I'm going to I'll just find myself walking around my yard. So I can definitely relate to the I do better in motion. So you kind of quickly, and I know that there's sort of probably some disclosure or some stuff you can't explain in regards to Apple, but you mentioned retail. Is that the kind of side of things you work for Apple? Is more of
retail? So I work at the retail store in Knoxville here. So
okay.
And I am on the technical side of stuff there. So
Okay.
I run our Genius Bar there basically. So it's me
very
and
cool.
a
So next time I have
couple people there.
So I have a problem with like my phone or my laptop. I need to come.
You'll
see
come
you.
to me, yeah.
Perfect.
So.
That's good to know. I always like to keep track of like resources I have. For
yeah.
There you
who
go.
do I talk to when
yeah.
I'm very technologically declined. So.
I feel like that's the only time I really see you anymore is when I have an issue.
Yeah,
I
that
come
was
to the
actually,
Outpost area.
and that was like one of the highlights. It was weird because that week, I think I told you this too. That week, I had like 3 or 4 people coming in the store, and you were one of them that were just like kind of like influences in my life around like, you know, Everwood and just
Building,
like your own company stuff and everything. And you know, everyone came in, they're like, yeah, so what are you doing? And I was kind of like at a point too that honestly that I was like, I don't know, like Everwood is it's semi self-sufficient right now. Like I can just kind of let it run, or I can really start like doing something again and really pushing it to the next level. And then you just happen to like show, I'm like sitting there and I'm like, hey Ben, what's up? I haven't seen you for a while, you know, like, and you're like, hey, what are you doing? How's Everwood? And I'm like, dude,
I remember you
is
talked
the
about
time.
selling it a few years ago.
Yeah,
Like selling
I did.
all your inventory and
There was a time, yeah. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I'll say one of the big things, my daughter's 6.5 now. And when she was first born, I mean, there was a big, you know, rebalance of how my days and how my life was, you know? So obviously, like, before having a kid, if you sleep into 7 o'clock, you're like, oh, cool, you know, that's fine. It's not the same thing anymore, you know? Like, you're responsible for this person, you know, and growing, not just responsible to feed, you know, but you know, instill the same type of concepts that you would in a general sense of, you know, this is how you learn stuff. This is the things we want to learn. These are the different types of stuff. So we spent a lot of time, obviously, like, you know, being with her. My wife is amazing. She literally has changed like the whole entire thought process of how she raises a kid, you know, like it's crazy to see how much she's adapted and kind of become such a parent, you know, like, but yeah, it definitely changes just like your routine of everything. And I was like, man, I don't know if Everwood really fits in. Like maybe I could just, you know, work my job but after that I was like, man, that's just not who I am, you know, like will fit this in. Like I don't want to let go of Everwood. I don't like, that's something that I feel like is finally one of the companies that is going to be with me forever. Like I don't want to be away from Everwood is like a part of me now, you know, like it's almost like a kid of mine, you know, like I've raised it, I've grown it, and it's there to stay now. So, and that's what this year is really about for Everwood, at least, is really the next steps of Everwood. And there's a lot of stuff that is kind of in planning modes right now, but there's a lot more collaboration this year and a lot more kind of expansion for Everwood this year. So
Foreverwood now.
for Everwood, there you go. You see, you're just creating stuff right now.
Ben is never short of ideas.
Never short.
Never.
He's always got. What made you choose? So you kind of mentioned like the trajectory and the different businesses and whatnot, and the one you had kind of prior to starting this one. But what made you kind of lean in towards watches? Like that's an interesting. Like I know very little about watches.
Yeah.
I know I like watches. I know what a nice watch looks like, but I know like nothing about them.
I was kind of in the same boat, honestly. So like, I just liked watches at the time, right? And I was like, so when I had my skate shop, I sold a company called Nixon, which I'm sure everyone is pretty aware of, right? Pretty big brand. And I sold a lot of Nixon. And during the time when, you know, the skate shop was really starting to kind of die down around the end in 2008, Nixon was literally paying my rent. I was like, man, like I was ordering boxes of that stuff. And I mean, they were just selling so well and the margins were great. And one of the things that I really took out of that, I was like, man, if you look at my whole entire like brick and mortar store right there, you know, you got skates and skateboards and like all this stuff that's like takes up a lot of space
Big.
for everything.
Yeah.
And then I got like, you know, $50,000 worth of watches and they're in like this little container, you know? And I was like, dude, that for the space used for the, you know, turn on and the revenue there, I was like, that, you can't beat it. So when I started, you know, coming up, because Mouse Theory was really when I started bringing some watches and stuff in the picture again. When I started doing that, I was doing everything from my house. I didn't have, you know, a warehouse. I didn't have anything that I could store stuff in. So I was like, man, what is the one thing, like what can I do in a small spot?
Mm-hmm.
So I turned my closet. I was renting an apartment with one of my buddies, and I turned my closet. So I took all my stuff out of my closet and I put it in like, dressers and stuff like that. And I used my closet as my warehouse space, and that's where I would store all my watches and everything that I was, selling at that time. And that's kind of how I got to watch. And I always liked watches, right? Like I still own way too many. I will say that, but especially Nixon's. I got a lot of Nixon's still. I love that brand. But so I started kind of taking them apart, and that goes back all the way to my childhood too. Like, was like, how does this work? I need to take this thing apart and see. So I started taking some of the watches apart to really see like how all the pieces worked and everything. And that's kind of how I started sourcing stuff as well. Like my first watch I sourced, it was built together, right? Like it was put together, and then I, did the packaging and did all that stuff myself. But I kind of just found a place that could make the watches for me, and I did it. My second line of watches that I did, those ones all come in pieces. So those are, assembled by me here. So I'm getting like the movements, even like the glass and the cases, bands, all those pieces are coming in pieces. So I actually found a whole different way to source that. And that was like a big change in how I was actually developing and building the next kind of product in that line. So
yeah, that's crazy. I brings up like the thing. There's some people that like they want to know how the watch works. Some people just want to know what time it is.
Yeah,
I definitely want to just know what time it is.
Right,
how the watch works. Like it's very interesting to me, and I could probably watch a YouTube video about it. But the fact that you're like, well, I'm going to deconstruct this, and I'm going to figure this out. It's just funny to see, or crazy to see how that path of like, I'm going to figure out how to do this. Well, and then I'm going to make my own. I'm going to turn this into a business. How did the wood component come into play there? Like, because obviously are you manufacturing like the wood components or the all wood watches? Like, are you physically doing the woodworking?
The all wood ones. So I'm actually not even selling that line yet. I still have a couple left that I'm selling through, and that that was the whole kind of purpose of some of the brand too. Is like everything's kind of a limited run, right? Like nothing's just there to purchase forever. You know, like so each thing that comes up is kind of like has its own time limit and shelf life kind of. So I did try. I will say, and I love working with wood and doing like furniture pieces and little things like that. But I tried to do all the bezels and everything for my new watches all on my own, and it didn't come out great.
It's a challenge.
I don't think anyone would want to buy that, So I did. I sourced all the bezels and stuff. I sourced them out to get them made. Yeah. But I still put them together. So they come literally in like a little package of just the bezels that are cut out just so they're in the right size and everything. And nowadays, I mean, when I first started that, like these, engraving machines and laser cutters and all that stuff weren't really as big. Nowadays, I probably could get something like that to even create those, but haven't really stepped into that too much yet. Sure. So.
No, but it's kind of like you said, like what are the things that bring you the most joy and the most passion and what make the most sense for you to do? And so the still fact that they're, hand assembled. I mean, that's still pretty rare in most instances. I think that's a cool strategy or approach with the like limited run. I think I had shared with you, there's a guy, his name's Andy Vincent. He used to run this company called Hate Brand. He was a Highland Games athlete. I'll try not to go on too far of a tangent. He was a Highland Games like world champion athlete, and it was an interesting logo. So it was HVIII. That's how he wrote hate, like H and Roman numeral 8.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
And he hated losing more than he hated the training. Like as hard as training is, as challenging anything is, I hate coming in second place more. And so that was the whole concept behind Hate Brand. And it was like everything was like, it's a limited drop.
Right.
Like he was mostly like T-shirts and stuff like that, but it was like he had 500.
Yeah.
When they're gone, they're gone. That's it. And none of the images or graphics, like nothing was ever the same. Or maybe it'd be a combination that was similar, but it was like that was a limited run. And I think one, if you're super creative and you like that process and you're not like, well, I don't want to make the same watch or T-shirt again, I think that's cool. And then also like the scarcity component of like, this is all I got. So if you really like this, like you need to click order now because it's gone.
Yeah.
Like this might be gone by tomorrow. So I think that's a great strategy into that. It's so crazy. You'd mentioned like, running into Ben and some other people and timing, and like that seems how a lot of stuff. When we've done these before with people, like the incidences of like how timing has played a role in so many different things. Where like, well, this just kind of happened, so it just made sense. Like that was clearly defined as like the next step I should take.
Right.
It's wild to me that we're sitting down and talking with you. Like, first of all, to the point of the packaging and the delivery and stuff. I don't know how well people see this.
Good.
Like, Justin brought us bracelets from his company, and like it comes in. Is this a hemp or is I don't know what material?
Yeah, it's like a burlap.
A burlap. So it
yeah.
come like this cool little pouch, and it has like. I like this. I know this is like a common thing now, more of like a matte, like texture kind of, it's not glossy, it's not shiny, it's in line with the brand, but like it's this little pouch and like it has stickers in it and like like it's just a very cool, like you feel like you're getting something that like there's some effort that went into this and like regardless of how much it costs, like there's value in it from like a receiving this perspective. Like you could give this to someone as a gift and they'd be like, oh, wow, is this like $100? Like no one knows because you put the care and the time into the product presentation.
You wouldn't think it came from a 1 square foot warehouse.
Yeah, that you made this. That you made this in the closet of your apartment. Like it
I'm still laughing about that. That's
it. feels like more of a value.
Yeah,
item.
I know. Yeah. It's like,
but so the thing I was getting at was like timing wise. Like if you were to go into my Instagram right now, you're going to be flooded with advertisements for this type of like bracelet type thing. Like my family and I were on this like, I don't know, I call it spiritual, religious kind of journey. We were raised Catholic in New England and coming down here and kind of getting more involved in church and all this stuff. And so there's a lot of that in this space, like the little crosses or messages and things like that. And so I feel like I'm constantly like clicking and looking. And I'm like, oh, I should buy that. I like that. And so the irony of the fact that like you're coming here and presenting this to Ben and I today is crazy to me.
Yeah.
But also the watch. Literally at church on Sunday, that was kind of the message was like that is one of the most common questions and one of the things most people in life are most aware of is what time it is.
Yeah.
And like talking about, and not to, I think everyone should own a watch, but it was about being present. And you get to a point in your life where you start thinking like, how much time do I have left kind of thing? Like when you're young and when you're in this certain headspace, it's like, what time is it? Because you're trying to get to the next thing and you're trying to hurry up. And then you get to a point you're like, well, how much time now do I have left?
Right.
And so like just the irony of the timing, no pun intended, of like literally flooded with bracelet and similar type things. And then the watch component. Like when I started looking at your website last night, I was like, it's like he's in my algorithm. Yeah. Like it was just
somehow it may be,
No, but just like just seeing it, I was like, it's like you're in my head right now. So it's kind of
almost the real life Instagram right there.
Yeah, it's funny how like life works that way. Like I think it's super cool, and I think the products that you create are super cool.
I appreciate it. Thanks.
Where do you get like the inspiration for, as you said? So like that's part of it is you kind of always need to be iterating and inventing and like, okay, hey, we got to come up with our next style, or where does that come from?
I don't know where it comes from, to be honest with you, but I think it's one of my like downsides of things because I almost always want to make it to like a perfection, right? Like I don't want to release a product or anything that I have coming out that's like they're like, oh, this is cool, right? Like I want it to be like, oh, this is awesome. So if you look, I have boxes of stuff that I have tried to make, created, and I'm like, nope, that doesn't work well, and it goes into a box, right? And there's thousands of dollars worth of stuff that's just like sitting there that I'm like, wouldn't produce it, right? Like I wouldn't actually move forward with selling it. So I think it's a time process, and sometimes it comes quick, right? And I go, man, this works, this looks good. Sometimes it's me searching for ideas, or just continuing to think. Sometimes it just like pops, and I'm like, ooh, this is exactly what I need. Like I had, this year, one of the big things that I sat down and I was like, man, I don't really want Everwood to just continue to be like a bracelet and a watch company, right? Like it's the next expansion for Everwood really is coming up with the ideas that can help, other brands really become something more. So one of the first things that I have started for this year, little project, is one of the barbershops that I've been going to since forever now at this point. But Jonathan over at Good Time Barbershop, him and I partnered together, and it's that timing thing that you were talking about. It just happened to kind of work. I was sitting there and I was like, man, we should collaborate on something, right? And he's like, dude, I'm so done with making all the product and doing all this stuff. And I was like, I'll take it over. And he's like, okay, cool. Like, and it literally like a whole new like concept and brain kind of came up right there. So we have coming out really soon. So I started kind of selling some of his product already on the website, and then now we have it's going to be called Good Time by Everwood. So that's coming out here, and it's going to be different, hair, beard stuff, just a whole bunch of different things that you would get at a barbershop, right? Yeah. And so, we're going to be doing some limited stuff. I don't want to go too far and give anything away that we have that we've been kind of working on, but we got some cool concepts and stuff that's going to drop that, I think is going to be like really fun, limited run stuff, especially for a lot of his customers and a lot of people that go to that barbershop. So yeah, and that ended up being, again, like one of those timing things where I was like, I could continue to sit here and keep making like, the next design for a shirt or the next bracelet or the next, whatever it is that, I kind of men's accessory type thing, right? Or I can take some of that, like what I would consider kind of like a gift that I have of helping and designing and building that product or that next thing for a company, and start partnering with some of these companies around Knoxville especially, and start helping to drive business for them and at the same time collaborate. And I think that's like one of the big things is I want Everwood to really become like a collaborative type of company where I'm really working and helping with other companies and we're building something together, like I think that's one of the big things that I've come to as well, is like I can come up with a whole bunch of stuff and I can work by myself in my office and sit on my computer and do that. But man, I would much rather be doing it with somebody else, and coming up with stuff together and having like a good collaboration and a good, like, try this. Oh, we'll try this. We'll try this. Instead of me just like, talking to myself all the time. Right. So yeah, that's kind of like the next step of where I really want to go with Everwood at this point. So.
Well, it kind of sounds like when you were talking in the beginning, the community of the skate shop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like obviously different.
He likes the community sort of.
Yeah, the community. And I'm sure, I mean, I've never been a skater, but I had some friends that were, and I understand they're like, well, this person's like learning this trick or getting good at this thing. Well, you're good at this thing and that, and you put all these, we're all kind of good at different things, but when you put us all together in the same room, like it kind of, everyone starts to get a little bit better because you start learning from one another or being exposed to different ways to approach things that like it can just, move you forward, know, and, to the open mind and leadership component that you talked about even earlier with, being comfortable with, letting people that are good at things do what they are so you can focus on what you really enjoy. And I think that's a unique skill that not everyone has. It's something I struggle with myself, of trying to find that balance of like, what should I be doing? What should I not? What should I be, outsourcing or allowing someone else to do? Or I think I have a little bit of a control freak issue. Yeah. Not news to anyone that probably is going to listen to this that knows who I am. Just because I don't know, I feel like I like that. So, but I think it's an awesome trait that if you can have that and it brings you joy and success at the same time. You had mentioned going for a run earlier. So again, in your bio, you mentioned like playing golf, football, running. Like, how does that all fit in with, because obviously Ben and I, that's how we know each other, through fitness. I own a gym. It's a huge component of my life. I think it is a wildly undervalued component to like general health and well-being. And I'm not saying health as in like how fast you can run a mile, but that like a physical challenge is necessary. Like, we all need that, whether we think we do or not. Like, that's how we're wired as human beings. Like, we always had to overcome adversity physically throughout the history of mankind. And we're wired to like do that, and the sense of satisfaction that we get from it. Like, I see it all the time, people that have like never worked out in their life, and they come in here and do something, and like you can just see like, I didn't know I could do that.
Right, yeah.
And I think it's such an undervalued thing by society as a whole, and I think it's important. Like, I don't care what it is. Obviously, I wish it was CrossFit, but like, go for a run, go for a walk, do whatever. How does that fit into the work-life, family, business balance for you? And like, is it a non-negotiable kind of thing, or?
I think there's times, right? Like, and 100%, like we were saying, you know, like you get that person that finally does their first pull-up, right? That's been trying forever, and all of a sudden you see that, like, man, I just accomplished this type thing. I think it opens up a lot too. I think, you know, movement in general is so, like, you know, people think of it as just like a physical trait, but it's so mental as well. Like, you need to have that ability to kind of, like, you know, let that unwind your thoughts and your mind and everything there. And it's, you know, it's tough to fit in sometimes. I'll say that, you know, like, because sometimes it goes to like the bottom of my priority, right? And I'm like, you know, I'll go for weeks where I'm like, you know, every other day going for like a 3-mile run or something. And then I hit a time where I'm like, oh, well, it's a little cold out this morning. Maybe I'll skip today, you know, and all of a sudden you skip today and you're like, man, I haven't gone for a run for 2 months. And you're like, how did that happen? You know, like, and so it's trying to stay on top of it, you know, like, I know a lot of times recently where I just don't really have the time to go, which is crazy to sound, but, you know, a 30-minute run, sometimes I just don't have the time to really get it in that day or anything. I got, you know, my free weights at my house that I'll pick up and kind of just get a little workout in or something there. So, but I mean, jogging is one of those things where it's like, I almost hate to love it, you know, like I'll go out there and I'm like, oh man, this is finally getting back into it, doing this and getting out there. And then, you know, by like, you know, mile 1, I'm like, oh man, I don't want to ever stop running right now. Like, I'm just like, so like, you know, so sometimes it's just
the
started,
adrenaline,
right?
the endorphins, like exercise high, runner's high, like that's a thing. Like there's some positive chemicals in your body that are released when your body's, you know, doing these physical things, obviously within a spectrum of like, you're not, you know, killing yourself kind of deal.
Right. Yeah.
Like that's what it is for me. Like I've gotten to a point, like I kind of joking, like I'm fit, I'm healthy, like I'm pretty good, but it's more about like the mental thing for me. Like, you know, I need to do something relatively physically active every day. Otherwise, like maybe I don't get that endorphin release like I'm used to, or my body just feels a little stagnant. And throughout the years now, even owning a gym, I find like I've had to explore other avenues. Like I started doing jujitsu, or I'll go for a run, because like that's a part of my day where my brain shuts off to a degree. All the other things that I'm responsible for, or whatever the case may be, when I'm in that time frame, I can kind of let that go. I can decompress and do my thing. But when I'm doing it in here, you know, by myself in between classes, I'm like, well, this isn't really accomplishing the thing. I need to go do something else.
Right.
But there's just so much value in it. I just wish everyone understood that. Like, I don't care what your Fran time is or how much you can deadlift. Like, you just need to move yourself, because there's such a positive carryover into the other aspects of your life, the mental clarity and the positive mindset. Like, you start accomplishing things you couldn't think you can do, you're more willing to like go to work and ask for that promotion, or have the hard conversation with someone that you weren't willing to have, because you've built some confidence. And so like, I mean, I can't stress enough how
also, I mean, I think my best ideas ever have been 15 minutes into a workout.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like just the clarity, and you know, you're staying busy doing one thing, and you can actually think about one thing, you know, and like the best product ideas or marketing, anything, you know, it's like always been while running or in here.
No, I agree. Yeah. Like you have a whole different like focus, different mindset and stuff like that, you know, like where it does I mean, I think the creativeness really comes out sometimes when you're going through something like that. So
I have lots of ideas when I'm exercising, but they're usually not very good, because I'm actually not very creative in like a productive way. I just have like a random idea. I'm like, you know what? And then I'm like, wow.
They're always $1 million ideas though.
Yeah, if someone gave me $1 million to
$1
do it. If I had a Kickstarter for $1 million, it's not, that's the only way it's $1 million idea.
Does it ever get weird, like working out in your own business though, and you're like, oh wait, no, this is my business too, but I'm like, does that ever get like mixed at all?
Yes and no. Like there's a component to it where if I just find myself like not going anywhere other than my house, Kroger, and here, and like I'm just working out by myself in between classes, and that's, you know, over and over and over, I do feel like I get a little almost like claustrophobic to a degree. So like I try to make a point to, like, we have a couple of dogs, so I mean they need to get walked, so like get outside and walk them, or go for a run. Or I don't do jiu-jitsu as much as I'd like, but that for me is very mentally freeing, because that is a fight or flight scenario the entire time, because I'm not very good at it. So like you know, I joke like in here I can put the bar down, I can do whatever at my own pace, but like when I'm being pinned to the floor by someone trying to strangle me. Like, you're not thinking about like your tax notices or your, you know, your kids after school activity. So that's very mentally freeing for me. So I enjoy fitness enough that like I am still pretty good with like I can just get in here and warm up a little bit and I can just do whatever and I can do it by myself just over and over and over. But I know that there's value in doing it with other people and kind of getting outside my comfort zone. Like all the things I ask other people to do, I need to be willing to do that myself because there is value in it. Even though I've done it for a long time, that's still valuable to me. You know, I'm not beyond where working out in a group of people is still more fun than doing it by myself.
We do partner workouts here too. We do probably a partner workout maybe once or twice a week.
At least once, if not twice.
They've kind of become my favorite thing, you know, and I've never really been like a team player or anything like that. I mean, I am, but like I kind of like doing things by myself. But I've noticed that the partner workouts are a lot more fun, and you know, I don't know, it's
you interact,
hold you accountable.
You interact with someone. You tend to work a little bit harder because you're like, well, I've only got X number of whatever to do. I'm gonna hurry up and get it done because I don't want that person sitting there like.
I don't want to let them down either.
There's different.
Yeah, there's almost like that. Like, I mean, it's a partnership when you get into it.
Right. Yeah, there's a lot of value in that, in the community aspect. Again, back to that community thing. Like, that's how we're wired as people. Again, with like the needing physical challenges. Like, we're not. I mean, what is the worst punishment you can receive in prison? Solitary confinement.
We're dropping the soap.
That's it.
Or what?
Dropping the soap.
Ben. I thought we were going to make it a whole episode without something.
I'm sorry.
But it's, you know, we're just not really meant to be entirely by ourselves. Like you said, you'd rather collaborate with people and share ideas, and that just, you know, fills your cup or bucket, you know, more so than just doing these things by yourself and having people to share it with. You know, how does that work in regards to your family? Like, and you know, you said balance, but like obviously your wife must be very supportive of these types of endeavors and how your mind works and stuff.
Yeah, she knew who I was, right, when we started dating back then, and she knew I wasn't gonna let any of this kind of go, you know, behind me or anything like that. So, so yeah, super supportive. She, you know, I think we spent a lot of time as a family. So we definitely like. You know, I'm off on Saturdays, which in retail world that doesn't happen often, but I'm off every Saturday as part of my schedule. And every Saturday it's family day, you know, like night times is family time when I'm there. You know, so whenever we're together, I mean, we definitely make the most of it. Well, before I met her, like she's real big on vacations, right? And like, not just vacations to go to like, you know, a theme park or something, but like stuff that creates that experience too, which is crazy because it's like, you know, I've always had to create the experience for others, but she's always been like, create the experience for yourself too. So, and she actually does, you know, travel agency stuff and she helps other people create these great experiences too. But, but yeah, I mean, she's planned our trips. We've gone to Ireland. We've done, you know, a whole bunch of different stuff that I never thought I would really do, you know, at a younger age. And she's kind of gotten me out of that, what would be like a kind of block for myself, you know, like step out of my comfort zone to really explore.
You're like a rabbit hole
the world,
sort of dude.
You know?
You're a rabbit hole sort of dude. Like you get down, you have tunnel vision when you want to do something, and you do need someone to pick you up from your shit and take you out of that and say, hey, there's another world. I struggle with that too, man. I go down rabbit holes and it's like, oh my God, I haven't seen light for 3 days, you know?
I mean, there are times where you almost like lose track of time, you know, like, and you'll be sitting there and all of a sudden you're like, whoa, I've been doing this for 4 hours. Like I should probably eat some lunch or something, you know, like.
That's
like,
so funny. That was literally a line from church on Sunday. It was
really?
Like when you're just in the moment of something that's joyful like that. Like that's the only time you're not aware of what time it is, when you're like deeply rooted in something, which can be good and bad. So I understand we're kind of talking it more in like a, hey, we don't always need to be in that space when it's, you know.
That's kind of why there's Sundays, right? The Sabbath. And
yeah, you got to rest.
There you go, yeah.
Does your wife contribute to the business, like in terms of like ideas, or more of like a someone to bounce ideas off of in terms of the experience?
I mean, I bounced a lot of different things off of her throughout the years. So recently, not as much, right? Like I still definitely bring all my ideas up and I talk, and you know, I need to get them out somewhere, you know. And sometimes there are things that I don't want to, you know, let out to other people yet because I'm like, oh, maybe this is something that could be really, really cool, or this is really idiotic, you know, like, so yeah, I mean, we talk about all that stuff all the time. We spend a lot of time, sometimes just sitting on the couch and stuff
Right.
like that. And, like I brought up before too, like the family aspect of stuff is huge in my life now, which, before it was just me and her, and there were times like, hey, I'm going to sleep. Cool. See ya. And I'd go to work, right? And I'd be in my office for hours and go to sleep at, 3 o'clock in the morning and wake up, and it was fine. But now there's a lot more structure to it,
Sure.
like, and I think a lot of our vacation time, like we're going on a cruise next week, Disney cruise, which is I found to be one of the most fun
I've
things
heard
to
those are
do.
incredible.
Yeah.
Like that's better than potentially going to Disney.
Yeah, every time you go to Disney, you're like in the hot sun waiting for everything in lines and don't want to touch things because you're like 1,000 other people just touch that too, and all of a sudden you're on a cruise and it's way different and they do such a good job. And honestly, it goes back to that experience. Like Disney knows how to create an experience for people, so. But yeah, so we do 1-2 cruises a year. We go out, down to Florida. We go all different places and stuff too. So, but yeah, she's great at really just being that person to talk to on the side there. And then also just coming up with some cool stuff to do. So.
That's cool. How old is your daughter again? I think you might have mentioned it.
She's 6.5 now.
6.5.
Yeah.
I wonder, so this is something that we notice with our kids. I wonder if your daughter will notice or just think it's norm for her life. Like our kids don't realize that like not every people don't live the lives that they have. And what I mean is, and it's not from like a wealth standpoint, but like my wife and I make a point to try to be at everything. Like my kids are swimmers. Mm-hmm. They have practice in the evening most of the time, but on, school breaks and summertime, practices in the morning, and like they have these swim meets. Like we're super duper involved with them. We spend a lot of time as a family, right? So something you mentioned, we're down here in Tennessee, don't have other family around. And I don't think kids realize that, like, it's not like this for everybody.
Right.
Like, there's a lot of, like, maybe it's grandparent help, or maybe it's babysitters, or maybe it's this, but, like, it's all they know. And so, which is a blessing, for us that we get to have that experience with them. But then also sometimes it gets like, you do realize that, like, this is not normal. And, like, we're doing the best we can to figure all this crap out for you. So I wonder what your daughter's experience will be like as she gets older and kind of that entrepreneurial type parent and, like, the things that are important to you guys, like if she'll acknowledge, like, this wasn't exactly, she might be making watches with you, at 10 years old or something, and
I mean, if I could have it on like my like best scenario that could ever happen, right? Like my daughter turns like 10 years old and she's like, I want to do my own business, right? And I help her like build a business, and then that's what she ends up like doing for the rest of her life or something, that would be the coolest thing to me. But I think we're really big just making sure like she gets to do what she wants to do, right? Like she's a kid. She doesn't have to make the decisions yet. She doesn't have to do all that stuff. She gets to do what she wants to do. She wants to go out and play basketball. Like, cool, let's go play some basketball, right? Like if she wants to, sit and make some bracelets, she's made some bracelets with me and stuff too. And, we've made bracelets for like a group of her friends and stuff. And, it's cool to do all that stuff with her too. So, but if she wants to be like, I want my own little Etsy store, I'm gonna be like, let's. What do you want to do? Let's get that thing going,
As she gets older, like we have 3 kids, and our oldest is 16, and she has a very kind of defined path in her head, and it's not entrepreneurial. And same thing, like do whatever brings you joy, whatever you're passionate about. And now our middle daughter has decided, like, I also have my real estate license. I got that like last year or this year, I guess.
Nice.
She's decided like she might want to pursue real estate. Yeah. And my son assumes he's getting the gym. Like they all have a very different, like this is what they're going to do. So it'll be just interesting to watch, like, the different things that your daughter and, as she grows up, like which path she'll potentially take.
I mean,
or will it be a blend? Because, I guess to a degree you have a blend of like you have a more corporate side of things where, again, like your mom and dad.
Right.
Like you have your dad's side, and that's Apple, and then you have your mom's side, which is Everwood. So I think it'll be a cool journey.
Yeah, once you say it out loud, I'm like, man, that all comes really together. I didn't really think of that a long time ago, but So.
Super cool. I said I love the brand. I love the products. Like they're so, I don't know what the word to try to, I don't know. Maybe you can articulate this or what you think about it. It's just something about it.
He's so good at branding, and just everything just looks so good. Like if I saw this at Zoomies, I'd think it's some company in Los Angeles with billions of dollars, like he's just always stuck out.
Well, that's something we brought up in the beginning was like the price point. Like I was surprised that it is a more moderately or modestly priced when I was looking before I obviously scrolled to that point, I was like, had an assumption of like what the watch would cost. And I was like, well, that's not as much as I would think it would be based on just the aesthetic of it. Like just
the watches
looking
look
at
great
it.
too. I mean, they're
I mean, I'm making the assumption that they're really
they
good,
are. Yeah,
right?
yeah. You're right. You're right.
It's a good assumption.
I was just like, man, I feel like this could be potentially a higher ticket item, and you kind of discussed kind of why that is. It was before we started recording and stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that's just very cool that you're like, well, this is what it cost me to do this, and like, I mean, I guess I should let you explain that.
Well,
better,
I mean, I think a lot of it really comes down to that part of the product creation, right? Like if you want to go and create a watch or whatever the product is for $500 price point, right? Like you got to put into that watch something that's worth that $500 price point on there, and the way that you source it and everything would come to it. So if I wanted to just be that cookie cutter type business that's like, okay, let me buy these 1,600 watches from this company, and then I'll get this one from this company and source the whole entire thing and let them do all the packaging, let them do all like the entire thing, and all I'm doing is basically reselling my own brand, right? Like that never was like appealing to me. So what's appealing to me is going through that whole entire process and making that from basically nothing, right? So on the Inverness watches, those ones are sourced from all different places. They're all different pieces, and then we get all the pieces together and then get to actually build those. And doing it that way, one, offers so much more customization on what you're offering to customers, but it also offers much lower price points because you're buying pieces. You're not buying a total full unit of stuff. I think that's just how my mind works a lot of times too, to be honest. And then all the bracelets that I do, which bracelets have really taken over the company, to be honest with you. Like I do on a bracelet side, just way more in production on that.
Sure.
But the bracelets, again, I source those things, the different beads and different pieces and materials from that all over the place. Like some of the stuff comes from Germany, some of it comes from Japan. It just depends on where I can find the best quality of it, and it's not really just the price on it, it's the quality. And that's one of the big things with, if you're crafting your own stuff, like I think it has to be like a higher quality. It can't just be like a generic type thing. So
something you would want.
Yeah.
Like, would I wear this? Like I think of that. I mean, obviously totally different. We work out. Like, is this a workout I'd want to do?
Right.
Is this something that I would, if I'm the face of this, if I'm presenting this as an extension of myself, this should be something that I'm proud of and that I wouldn't be, ashamed to wear, or like, no, I don't like my stuff.
Right.
Like if you don't eat your own cooking, like what kind of chef are you? So,
right. Yeah. So, but yeah, then, just getting everything together and getting it, looking at what would I buy, how much would I buy this for? Like what do I think it's worth? Because I think one of the big things that you see, like, with all the AI stuff out nowadays and like all the different like ways you can manipulate a picture or an image of a product now, like I don't want anyone ever having that. Like I'd rather blow their mind with the quality from what they paid rather than them pay way more and then get something and go, yeah, I don't think it's worth that. I'd rather just have that like surprise moment of like, man, this seems like it's worth more, right? So I hope that's something that people get, because I never want to overprice something that is what it's worth. I think it's high quality, definitely, but I don't think, people, there are some of those brands out there that sell like a beaded bracelet for $250. And I've literally looked at them and I'm like, I don't get why is this $250? And it's like, the name behind it or whatever, or how they're actually making it,
That's
like
the balance of it, though. It's the value and the perceived value.
Yeah.
If someone thinks it's a $200 bracelet, it's a $200 bracelet.
That's right. Yeah.
You
And
know.
people will
It's
buy
worth
them.
what someone will pay for.
Exactly. Yeah.
People
so
will
it's
buy
like,
them like it's
Could
so
you-
normal,
Could you see yourself doing like higher ticket, like certain watches more particularly is what I was thinking, like where you're like, I'm going to really kind of go crazy on this to a degree, whether it's the components, the materials, whatever.
Yeah.
And you're like, I'm going to start making, limited again,
Yeah.
some $500 watches just because like you want to do that, even for your own.
Yeah, I mean, especially with watches too. I mean, watches, you could go into something that has like a much higher, and movement on the inside, or a higher sapphire crystal. So I mean, there's components on watches that could really
Be expensive.
Yeah. So I mean, that's never not out of the picture, right? Like, it's not something I'm currently working on to create like this $1,000 watch or anything. But I think if the right materials and the right like timing comes around, right? Like, say there's like a building or something that's coming down, or a barn that was like really big at some point, and they're like, we're taking it down. I could source that wood and make a watch that's a limited edition watch out of the wood from that or something, and that could be something that 100%
Something
worth
more sentimental,
way more, so
you got to go for a run and have it come to you.
It'll eventually pop right up there. So
super cool. I don't know, Ben. I mean, Ben did a great job coming up with like lots of questions and stuff. I feel like we definitely touched on some of it. I don't know.
I mean, we're coming up we're at an hour and 21 minutes, so
a
lot there.
Want to be appreciative of your time.
Yes.
What would be the best way to? So we've talked a lot about marketing and branding, and Ben speaks very highly of your ability to do that. Like, what's the best way to find you, your products, your company?
I mean, honestly, the best way is just right on the website. It's everwoodoriginal.com. So that has everything on there. And that another one of those things, it's like that the website's almost like my product as well. So that is like updating all the time, the different look. And I feel like every time I update it, I go, man, this is awesome. I'm never going to change this, And then like 2 months later, I'm like, oh man, this would be so much cooler here. Right. So it's still that creative process that goes through there. So the website's always updating too. And I think it has some cool stuff. Again, this year, like with the collaboration and everything that I'm working on right now, I think there's a lot of cool stuff that's going to be coming to the website as well, where it's not just Everwood only. So there's a little bit of a sneak peek of some new brands that may be featured on there as well. So, cool. But easiest way. Instagram, yep, definitely have the Everwood Original Instagram. So got all the handles that are on there, got X or Twitter, whatever people call it nowadays. So I will say one of the things, so I never really got heavy into like social media type stuff. Like I know it's important for brands and companies to be there. And I am right now actually making more of an effort, especially with Instagram, to really get back on there. And, I had a couple people that would run some of my social media stuff back in the day, and it just never really stuck, and we have a decent follower count on most of those things, but I always like forget, because I get into the creative mode of like creating the next product or doing something there, and I'm like, oh yeah, I should probably share this with people too, and I kind of like forget about that. So but yeah, I'm making more of a conscious effort to make sure like products are updated a little bit more frequently on there, and we're able to like be a part of that like community again, It's not just about showing like, hey, here's a bracelet, buy this, like what's the experience? And I think that's probably where I struggle with a lot of it, because I really have that experience driven kind of mindset on there, and I'm like, oh, people are just like mindlessly scrolling on these things. I'm like, how do you make that an experience for somebody from posting a picture or something, So I think there's a lot more engagement that we can kind of filter into on that one. So
yeah, no, for sure. I think you guys do a great job. I mean, I looked at your social media and your website and stuff, and I think it was very cool. It definitely got my attention. However, like I said, it's definitely been things that are, I've been focusing on or getting anyways. So, but yeah, great company, great products from what I've seen. I'm definitely interested. Now I want to watch. Yeah. I was looking at it last night. I'm like, which one of these am I going to order? I really like the watches. So.
Well, yeah, I appreciate it, guys.
Thanks for coming in, man.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you so
Anytime,
much.
guys. Thank you.